So a couple months back, there's this guy named Pulper. Pulper is a huge DABBLEVERSE fan. Pulper got some kind of disease or something. I don't know. He's dying. He's doped up and dying or something. I don't know. Something to do with, I think, his kidneys or his liver. I think it's kidney. I think he's got like advanced kidney failure or whatever. And so he was dying. And this guy Pulper, because he's such a cool guy, his one last wish was to have a get together, a fan meetup, a show. He wanted to do sort of like I think kind of like what Brennan and them did in Atlantic City, maybe a little stand up. Just get a couple of the DABBLEVERSE personalities together in one room and party with them a little bit, and before he dies. So this guy John takes, and the accounts varied wildly, right? It was everywhere from $2,000 all the way up to $7,000. But at a minimum, we've confirmed that John took at least $2,000 from this guy Pulper, and in the promise that he was going to put together this event. Pulper said, "I'll give you money." I think he gave him two and said there's more where that came from if you need more to book this show. Pulper even went so far as to book suites at the Venetian for some of the people he was expecting to come to this thing. Well, it never came to fruition. He ended up, John ended up waiting until the last minute, trying to rent like a ballroom, if I recall correctly, at like the Venetian or the Palazzo or the Wynn, like one of the nice casinos. And like with a week's notice, like it was ridiculous. Like John made no effort to make this thing actually happen, but he took the $2K from the guy. Now they're trying this again. It was originally supposed to be September or October or something like that, right? Now it's almost January. It's the end of December, and John threw together a fucking thing, whatever it was. Tried to throw to let's get a little get together, right? So John invites all these guys to come out to Vegas and meet with Paul during the holidays. This is a mess, by the way. Well, the bad news is that this Pulper guy is now dying. He's now dying. He now is in no shape to even get out of bed. He's not even in Vegas. So what you have is Karl from one of these podcasts, and I believe Pat Dixon's down there. Tukey refused to go. I think, Melton, I think, is hanging out with some of them, but he lives there. It's not like he's, he didn't come into town for it. So now John over here, who took Pulper's money, is now hanging out in Vegas, but he's hanging out like by himself. And all these other guys are hanging out without John, and Pulper's not even there, but they're calling it Pulper Fest. It's the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen. Oh, Magnum DUI, nice band for life. Anybody else want me to move on? Would anyone else like me to move on?
Pulper, what the is this model?
So anyway, here's John. He's in Vegas right now. And from what I gathered from watching Tukey's show is basically John came to Vegas, but nobody wants to hang out with him. And the impression I'm getting is that Karl and Tukey's not there, but like Karl and Pat and Melton and all these guys, Dixon, Melton, they're all pretty grossed out by John. They don't want anything to do with John. They think he's a fucking... First of all, they think you're a dork, John. I'm just going to level with you. They think you're a fucking dork. Two, they think you're a scumbag who took this dying man's money and never gave it back to him. They don't want to be associated with you. So they came down here thinking they were going to meet with Pulper, thinking they were going to cheer him up, whatever, and Pulper ended up not being there. So now they're all down there hanging out, but they're not meeting up with John to hang out with him. It's very funny.
Talk about Pulper. What the is this monologue? What do you want me to talk about Pulper? People, I think, who was this? Numero uno Josh Any fan? Or unbanned Josh Any fan? The man is sick. I mean, I what else do you want me to say? He's sick and he's not doing well. I mean, that's what I'm being told. So, I mean, I don't know what else is there you want me to say about this guy.
How about that you took thousands of dollars from him and he got nothing in exchange for it? How about that? Bring up that part. Are we allowed to talk about that?
I feel like it's disrespectful to talk ill of the sick and dying.
He was in charge of the whole thing. I mean, it was his baby. He's the guy. Yeah, he's the one who was paid to put together originally, like it was said, like some kind of a show that was there was never even a venue. There wasn't a date for the show. I asked about all that stuff from, Publi's like, yeah, I don't know. You have to talk to John. John never talked to me about it. I never found out anything. There was no show. There was no venue. He was booking a ballroom for something would be absurd. It's a handful of people. Probably could have been done in a suite. And if that just would have been said, then great. I think that wouldn't have been such a problem to show up for, but it was just all very tenuous and not really happening. So, look, the first one just didn't work out. Nobody was in charge. Then this one, like I said, I didn't know that Pulper definitely was not going to be around until a couple of days before. Literally maybe 2-3 days before. So, whatever. I went on the trip, I thought, I'll go. And John just had nothing. And when he was asked, he was just like, oh, we'll play it by ear. So that's that, if the time isn't being directed by him, it's not like we weren't communicative with him. So, I can look in the group chat and we were responsive and stuff like that, but there's just no, I think he did come and hang around, for a little while, maybe while I was at, an earlier dinner kind of thing. But I wasn't even privy to that. I didn't even know that was going on. Anyway, let's go.
Talk about Pulper. What the is this monologue? What do you want me to talk about Pulper? People, I think, who was this? Numero uno Josh Any fan? Or unbanned Josh Any fan? The man is sick. I mean, I what else do you want me to say? He's sick and he's not doing well. I mean,
not good.
That's what I'm being told. So, I mean, I don't know what else is there you want me to say about this guy.
How about that you took thousands of dollars from him and he got nothing in exchange for it? How about that? Bring up that part. Are we allowed to talk about that?
I feel like it's disrespectful to talk ill of the sick and dying. So, look, man, again, I tried, everything in my power. I mean, Pulper was going.
He tried everything in his power. All he did was take $2,000 from this guy and then last minute try to book a ballroom at a major resort casino on the Strip.
That was the first
2 weeks before, which, do you understand? You could even be rich and have connections and not be able to pull that off.
And a ballroom, the size is fucking absurd. Like I said, it could have all been done in a hotel suite. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't even think they were going to sell tickets to this thing. It was intended to be just a private hang or something. And I guess he just made it way more complicated than it needed to be. There was something about buying equipment on his end too, that he was supposed to look. Just from what Pulper told me, who I got to know just a little bit on the phone over a few conversations, that John was to build a studio, pick out the equipment, buy it, and put a studio together. And I think for that, there was this budget of up to $7,000 or something. I really don't know. I don't want to say things that I don't know, but I do recall that was the amount. But that didn't get done. And the show, as far as any show or whatever, that wasn't even close to getting done. Even for this event, while Pulper was, in doing really badly. Like he can't really get up and leave anymore. He could have said, all right, let's do a show at this time. We're going to meet. And if he would have told us, yeah, go there and do that, we would have. I'm traveling. I don't have I don't even have a microphone with me, for Christ's sake. I had to do a fucking quick phone in over on Censored. They were doing a marathon this weekend. And by the way, the promo code has changed. My promo code now is Dixon over at compoundcensored.tv. If you want to subscribe to that, I'd love to have you. Use the promo code Dixon. You get 20% off your annual and monthly subscriptions. And it's a lot of great programming, including New York City Crime Report, my show. So this guy could have just said, put together, look, here's when we're going to do it. Just sort of a little tribute thing. Hit the like button. Just like a little tribute or anything. Anything. I wasn't invited to be on this show with him that he did. I would have come for this. I would have happily been sitting next to this guy doing this show, and we could have talked about whatever. But that was not even mentioned. So, I mean, I did see Tukey talking about this, saying, those guys won't hang out with him, and I sound like Kermit, but they won't hang out with him, and they want, I'm going to call all their mothers and all that shit. It's like, hell, you can read the group chat as well as I can.
You want to rent the ballroom at the Venetian? It has to be months and months in advance. And you have to pay for there's union workers if you want to do an audio visual thing, and it's insane. He took $2,000 from this guy, and a lot of people suspect he took $2,000 from this guy and then was kind of just hoping he'd die. I genuinely believe that.
Now, that may be true, but keep in mind, he did the same thing with Chad's event, and people, of course, figure Chad shares in some of the blame for that, of course, obviously, But there was no communication. He just took the money and didn't do anything. No show happened. So, I mean, I don't even know why Pulper, based on that, would use this guy for this. But he did. And really, it's like nobody needed to be paid to put anything together, really, in this case. Because it's not, it wouldn't be, why is it even going to be in a public place? Anyway, I don't know.
I genuinely believe this guy took $2,000 from a sick man who was dying and said, yeah, we'll book something a few months out. And I genuinely think that he was just hoping the guy would die.
I mean, maybe he was hoping Chad would die too, join the club, right? But this situation here, Blade didn't even go to the first one either, okay? He wasn't even in attendance, and he was supposed to be putting it all together.
Fat Boy in the chat said it's Pulper's fault for not hiring Melton. But Melton's not for hire. From what I understand, Melton never once expressed any interest in this. It's considering he's trying to get the super tip shit up and running, which that rollout's been obviously pretty busy. He's trying to get Hackamania put together. And it's no, I don't think Melton at any point expressed publicly or privately any interest in getting involved in this.
Nobody really did. It was all by invitation, really. And on top of that, Melton might have done it, but he wouldn't have done it I think Melton would have come up with a simple solution that would have been, just fine for everybody, but whatever. I mean, I think he might have done that if he, given the opportunity. I don't know. Maybe Mersh is right.
You want to do a fan meetup, do it yourselves. You can do that. People in the chat. You all know each other. You could all meet up in Vegas. He didn't want anything to do with it. And it kept turning into this thing, and Blade was like, I'll do it. Give me the money. I'll set it up. I'll get everything done. Took $2,000, and then a couple months later, he was like, oh, shit, this guy Pulper is really hanging in there, huh? He's still alive. Fuck! And it became a big fucking scandal, and this guy never really made anyone feel good about it. He robbed a dying man. And even now, had a second chance to make something happen, can't make it happen.
Up until really 3 weeks ago.
Hi, Bellator.
I think he was. You want me to talk about him?
Merry Christmas, Bellator, and God bless you, man.
I'll give you this. He was still supposed to come out here up until 3 weeks ago, and then it was maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago now at this point. 2-3 weeks ago.
Damn, it's almost like you should have done this meetup 2 or 3 months ago when it was originally scheduled. It's almost like you should have put some effort into this, and Pulper could have hung out with some of the people he's a fan of one last time. But now it's too late, huh? Dang. Did you keep the money, John? Did you keep the money?
He had reached out and said his health had taken a turn for the worse. He booked a room and everything, and his health has taken a turn for the worse.
What?
And it probably wasn't going to be looking good, but he still wanted us to go and have a good time. I mean, these are his words. So that's what we're doing. I know. Look, people are like, oh, it's so disingenuous. Pulper's dying in a bed, and you guys are out there powwowing around Las Vegas. Again.
Yeah, it is pretty shitty. I mean, it's objectively shitty to observe. From the outside looking in, John, yeah, it's pretty,
Okay,
yeah,
look.
I don't think
here's a message on the 10th, okay? This is from John DiCaprio. Yeah, he's not doing well at all and is getting in home care. He did get a room and said if he can, he will still be there, but won't really know until next week. I'm with you, though. Hook him up with some morphine and get her done, which that strikes me as a pretty fucking insensitive thing to say. Like I said, that was on the 10th. He won't know until next week. Then on the 15th, I'm not going to quote his words, but Pulper, basically said it's not looking like he's going to be there. So I don't know where he gets this 3 weeks business at all, because that wasn't communicated to me, and it wasn't communicated in the chat. He says 3 weeks. There's nothing to back that up. So whatever. And yeah.
He's one of these out of touch guys that really, when criticism is getting lobbed his way, he really just goes it's just these fucking haters, man. What are you gonna do about it? Huh? What are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do. Yeah, there's nothing you can do now. But at one point, there was something you could have done. I don't know. Do a get together. Now, we broke this down when this originally happened, the whole Pulper thing, right? And I told you guys my opinion on it. And I told you guys that if it had been me, I wouldn't have wanted to be in charge of any kind of, dying man's final powwow. I would have put somebody else in charge of that. I'm not the guy. However, I also would have made things a lot more simple. I would have managed Pulper's expectations, and I would have managed Pulper's budget to the extent that it wouldn't be him coming out of pocket too badly, right? The fact that everyone just used this as an excuse because they all wanted to go to Las Vegas.
Here's the way I felt about it, is that I had committed to go. I didn't find out anything about not going until the 15th. I was not looking at it I can't wait to, take a connection. And, to me, it was not I'm not going to say, it was certainly great to go to Las Vegas. I thought there might still be something in the experience of doing it. You know, I didn't know if we were going to ride. I mean, because it's like it's drivable, I think, to get to where Pulper is. He's in California. I think that could have been done. I didn't know if something like that would be planned. I thought something would be planned. And, you know, and it wasn't. So, you know, it did turn out to be just a trip to Vegas, actually. A little weird. You know, but like that's the way it ended up. So if that disappoints anybody, I'm really sorry, you know, but that's just what happened.
To my knowledge, this guy Pulper is not from Vegas. So it's not like they're going to visit Pulper in Vegas. This was some idea that one of these guys came up with, and then they became hyper fixated on the idea of going.
It wasn't an idea that one of us guys came up with. It was Pulper's idea, and it was Pulper's idea that it be in Vegas. And so we were following his lead on that. So none of us came up with it. That was all Pulper.
To Vegas, and going to Vegas became more important than any other of the logistics involved.
That I wasn't involved with.
You know, you could have went to Atlantic City, you could have went to Biloxi for a lot cheaper. And if you have MGM rewards like you do in Vegas, you get treated like a king.
Pulper wanted to go to Vegas.
So it wasn't that. You could have done a non-gambling town. You could have done a gambling town if gambling was one of the things you wanted to do. You could have done a cheaper town. You could have done.
None of that is a factor. Mersh is wrong on that. Vegas was what Pulper wanted to do.
Meet up somewhere in between all of you guys, whatever the case is. There were so many simpler ways. Now, I said when I covered this before, if it were up to me, if one of my listeners was dying, one of our like prominent chat room members was dying, and they reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm dying, and I love the show. I love this, whole group of people. I'd love to do an event or some kind of meetup before I die." Right? I wouldn't be I don't know if I would go so over the top with we got to go to Vegas and we got to have this and we got to have gambling and we got to have showgirl. I would be like, man, let's go out. We'll get some fucking steaks. We'll get some wine. We'll get some cigars. I'll get you laid. We'll fucking party a little bit. That's all you can really do. You could have done this a cheap, fun little weekend instead of trying to book people and get people paid for hanging out with it. Everyone was supposed to be getting paid.
I got my flight and my lodging, because I can't really come out of pocket for that, and that was what was offered. That's what I got. So, as far as anybody getting paid goes, nobody was expecting to get paid. Blade sort of makes it sound like there was a handsome sum of money offered, and I'm like, I even wrote him. I'm like, what are you talking about? Never heard back.
To hang out with this dying guy. That's fucking gross to me. That is fucking gross to me. To be paid money to go hang out with a fan who's dying seems weird. Now, don't get me wrong. If one of you guys is dying someday and your bucket list is, in fact, that you want to hang out with me one weekend, I got no problem letting the dying guy pay for stuff because you're dying, right?
Then that's exactly what happened.
That's different. If I go out with somebody and they're dying, I have no problem with you buying dinner and drinks and lap dances. You know what I mean?
Well, nobody.
Because you're dying anyway.
Nobody got any of that, obviously.
And that may seem kind of sleazy, but it's like, yeah, whatever. But it's still less sleazy than, oh, I'll come hang out with this dying fan, but what's my rate?
None of that happened. I just got to be clear. None of that happened. There was no profit in this.
What's my fee? What's my per diem that I get paid?
And if it were up to me, this is
Declan McClintock. All right, I stand corrected because I don't know the situation all that well. Declan in the chat is saying no, Pulper is the one who insisted on Vegas. All right. Fair enough.
it's all been a hassle, a giant.
But it also still could have been Vegas without all of this so-called hassle. I like that John got a free trip to Vegas and he's like, this has been a hassle to me. This has been such a colossal pain in my ass. This dying guy gives me $2,000. I go to Las Vegas. I don't have to pay for anything out of pocket. What a hassle.
His words. So that's what we're doing. I know. Look, I mean, look, people are like, oh, it's so disingenuous. Pulper's dying in a bed and you guys are out there powwowing around Las Vegas. Again, if it were up to me, this has all been a hassle, a giant hassle to me.
This has all been a hassle.
No, I don't understand what was a hassle to him, except maybe just getting out there or whatever. You know, I mean, like, okay, here's what he did as far as coordinating everything, as far as air travel or something like that. I don't remember if it was him or Pulper. Somebody, you know, the money came from. I think it was 1-and-1 for that, and he had to tell me, make sure you get your lodgings and book your plane ticket, and I did, and then I told him I did, and then that was it. And nothing was coordinated or anything like that. There was no, you know, actually Melton was there with a ride from the airport, and that was not Blade had no coordination of anything, really.
Hassle to him. You know, if you just didn't try to con a dying man out of money, it would have been less of a hassle. It's just what at least how I see it. I see it a little differently than you. See, I wouldn't take money from a fan who was dying on the promise that I was going to throw a festival for them. You know why? Because I wouldn't want the hassle. I wouldn't want the hassle. I would understand that nobody is going to like the way it looks. So I just wouldn't do it. I would have told Pulper, hey man, listen, if you're that big of a fan, whatever, cool. You know, look, I can't go to Vegas. We can't do all that. But look, if you ever want to make your way down to fucking Florida, I'll show you a good time. What a hassle. Give me $2,000 to go to Vegas with. Oh my God, stop hassling me.
I need people to understand this. But this is what ultimately, this is what he wanted. And these are his words. So
he wanted me and Karl and Pat Dixon to play poker in Vegas. That's what Pulper would have wanted.
Is what it is, ma'am.
What Pulper said, he wanted to shake our hands. He told me several times, all I want to do is shake your hand and meet you. He also told me that I was like an add-on kind of a thing, that you know, I wasn't really in his, as I've said it before, he wanted to meet all the people who'd made him laugh and me. So whatever, you know, I mean, like, Mersh can shit on this all he wants, but like, yeah, this is what he said. And nobody followed through on the first one. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Whatever is happening, I'm going. And that's that.
It is what it is. Do I feel bad about the whole situation? A little bit, sure.
Do I feel bad about the situation? Yes. Am I giving the money back? Let's not go crazy. Come on. Let's not lose our fucking minds here. Do I have regrets? Yes. Is it a shitty situation? Yes. Am I giving the money back? Probably not. I already spent it.
I mean, I didn't receive payment for any of this shit, so, you know, whatever. I don't know. What can I say? How about a little Bobby Brown goes down? from Ray DeVito, the gummy smoker. Thank you, sir. How about a little Bobby Brown Goes Down by Zappa? Also, check out my steel toe themed Hendrix parody, Hey Joe. Maybe you can do it some justice. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. All right, so that'll be coming up momentarily as soon as we kind of, get to that point again. Bobby Brown.
Oh, man. So now you can see why nobody's hanging out with him. So all these people came for this Pulper thing. Dixon, Karl, Melton's hanging around. Nobody wants to hang out with this dork.
Wish we'd have got this done. I wish I would have got.
He came all the way out to Vegas to sit in his room by himself.
Now, I mean, that's true. Nobody avoided him, though. You know what I mean? Everybody was very available. Very available. Nobody was like, fuck you, dude. Nobody. But he had nothing planned. He didn't have any interest in kind of joining or whatever, so what were we supposed to do exactly, And it's like, I don't even know this guy at all. At all. So, I mean, like, nothing was planned. He was, around, I guess. I mean, he missed the whole first day and night, so the very next morning, he's like, hey, you guys want to have breakfast, whatever. I got back to him. I said, I'm in the poker room. He said he could be down in half an hour. He messaged again in like closer to 2 hours, not a half an hour. Anyway, I mean, these are all just details, but it's like, yeah, nobody it was all this shit about avoiding him or not wanting to hang out or not including him and all that. That's nonsense.
And nobody wants to hang out with him. That is the funniest outcome. Honestly, Pulper. Beautifully done. Beautifully done, Pulper. Honestly, if your last act as a dying man on this planet is to just make a pariah out of this piece of shit, then you know what? You done good, Pulper. I'm going to pray for you. And, may Lord Jesus, the Son of God, forgive you for all your sins. And I hope you get into the gates of heaven. Because this idiot's just sitting in Vegas in his room by himself. Hey, guys, let me know if you guys are doing anything. Yeah, we'll let you know.
This started in October, but, it is what it is. Can't cry for spilled.
Second time I talked to him, he was just sitting and playing slots. So, I mean, the moment I saw that he was around, I went up, introduced myself, whatever, and we spoke momentarily. Then I talked to him for, seriously, 45 seconds or a minute. He was playing slots. I was trying to convince him to join us.
Milk, no matter how many times I wish and I could have and I would have.
Yes, bugle me this. It says it has been confirmed by multiple sources that Karl did not take any money to be there. Well, that's good on Karl. That's good on Karl. I mean, I shit on Karl here and there, but nobody should.
Okay, I took, that leaves me. So I took, what do you call it? Airfare and accommodations. That was offered. That was freely given. That was like, I'll pay for you to get there. And that was, all that shit was done a while back. A couple of months ago. Nearly a couple of months ago. Right after, it was in November anyway.
Could have been taking money from this fucking guy. Nobody.
Sorry.
Okay, let's see what this is. We'll get to that. Thank you, Moody.
It is what it is. It is what the is. So we're here now, and we'll be celebrating, and we have been celebrating, or at least I have. I don't know about everyone else. Karl probably has too, to be honest with you.
Why don't you know if anybody else is celebrating? Oh, right, because you're not getting invited to anything.
Sorry, I'm pulling up my chat. I don't have a chat
funny, man.
handy. Not bringing up the part of it. Don't remind Pulper how much of a hassle this has been. Well, in fairness, I don't think he's watching. Look, I offered Karl money, and Karl didn't want to take anything. So
there you go. Karl did not take any money. Tukey refused the money, and he wasn't going to go. I'm sure Melton didn't take anything. Melton just happens to be
Okay, we get it. Pat Dixon.
in Vegas, and I'm sure Melton's only lurking about because Karl's there. You know what I mean? And Dixon, I know he's cool with Dixon too, but I know he's tight with Karl. So I mean, that's not really like Melton is part of this thing. He just, he lives there, and he's like, well, I guess if Karl's here, we can get a steak or something. Yeah, Pyramid saying $600. That's what Tukey said. It was $600 was what was being offered around to people. Again, to me, that's gross. I don't want to be paid to hang out with a dying person. It's one thing if you want to.
It wasn't payment. It was just to get, it was just travel and lodging.
Again, if I go out with a dying person and they go, hey, I'm dying, I'm not going to pay these credit card bills anyway. So I'm going to rack up my credit cards. You get whatever you want, right? Then I would have no problem. I would do that with a clean conscience, right? But that, again, is different than, oh, this guy who's a fan of the show who's dying, he wants to do like a meetup. Yeah, what's my appearance fee? Like, that feels a little too sleazy. At least it's different if they're like, yeah.
Literally nobody is saying that. So it's a total straw man here. Total bullshit.
Just have credit cards and you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Let's go get a cash advance at the cashier thing and just gamble it. Like, all right, cool. You want to do that? Cool. But there's a difference. One is the spirit of, yeah, if you want to share stuff with me, that's cool. If you want to spend, if you want a treat, that's cool. But again, naming an actual rate and being like, that's my appearance fee. If you want me to hang around this fucking boring dead guy.
Has anybody suggested that?
Sorry. It's going to be at least 600.
Shit.
Pope Brady told Blade to keep the money. Yeah, and it's...
By the way, the 49ers are beating the Colts like 34-20. But I got to say, man, Phillip Rivers night.
I was given a certain amount of money that I also
where is it?
Distributed out amongst.
But you just said nobody wanted it. This doesn't make any sense. You were given money to distribute, but we've already found out that Karl didn't want any of the money. Tukey didn't want any of the money.
Who does that leave?
Pat probably took the money.
Yeah. I didn't take any appearance fee, stupid. That was the deal. Pay your travel and lodging if you will come out on this date. I was given the travel and lodging. I came out on that date. Anything else?
I doubt Melton took any money.
Of course he didn't.
So who did it get distributed to? The dancers at Mermaids, or like I'm trying to make sense of this. If you were given money for it to be distributed, you have now revealed that it has been distributed to absolutely fucking nobody.
Me.
So what happened to the money?
And like I said,
the other people. And again, I offered everyone a handsome amount of money.
Max Barnes says Mersh.
now this is what I don't get. I offered everybody a handsome amount of money. That I don't understand. I have no idea what he's talking about. I was at no point offered a handsome amount of money.
You post all your bets so I can bet the opposite. I used to, but I don't bet anymore. That's why I don't post my bets.
And some people took it. Some people did. I don't feel comfortable enough discuss.
First time I didn't come out, I refunded the money that he had already sent me.
Saying who took it necessarily.
You don't feel comfortable enough discussing who took it, but you feel comfortable enough discussing who didn't take it?
Yeah.
But leaving it up to our imagination, the various other people who took money. Who's there?
There's literally, Jesus Christ, man. It was Karl and me And originally, Rocco, who didn't come, he didn't want any money anyways for his travel or whatever, because it was a drive for him, and he got his room. Literally, Rocco had booked his room for 3 days, $60 a night, $180. So that's what he was going to do. And then Karl didn't want any money because, airfare.
Do we have a list right now of who's there? I've heard Karl. I've heard Pat Dixon.
That's it.
I've heard Patrick Melton.
And that's
who,
it.
Again,
that's all.
Patrick Melton, I don't even count him because he fucking lives there and he's probably just hanging around because he wants to go play poker with Karl. I doubt it's deeper than that. I don't think Melton, I wouldn't even count Melton as being a part of this.
No.
He just is the guy that lives there. Makes sense for him to pop his head out and say, "What's up, boys? Let's go get something to eat."
I'm just going through this just to like, any details anybody wants, make all this really clear.
Does anyone else have any a cast of characters? Lucy Tightbox was there. Okay. But if she's there, if Karl didn't take any money and she's there by an extension of Karl, I would doubt she took any money. So where did the money go? It's, you know what I mean? He feels comfortable telling us Karl didn't want the money, Tukey didn't want the money. But he doesn't feel comfortable telling us who did want the money.
Hi, Pat. Did you hear I started a rumor that Karl was banging Lucy Tightbox?
Is that where that came from? At some point, you got to understand, if anything's coming from Stevie Lou, it's not true. I saw no sign of that personally. I can verify that nothing. I saw nothing of the sort. So there. Why do I say so there? I guess it's just out of habit after that pause. Anyway, yeah, that rumor did get back around to my ears. It's like, come on, man.
The night is the night.
But I don't like to really disclose. Oh, I got to turn the AC.
And anybody, if you're watching this show tonight, if you are dying or you suspect you're dying, you owe me $600.
This is really bothering me here. Hold on one second.
Yeah, and everyone stop calling him Blade. His name is John. All right? This fucking retard just started calling himself Blade one day, and a bunch of you fucking started indulging him.
You know why?
Maybe this is partly...
Do you want to know why? Because it's the stupidest fucking name anybody could pick out for themselves. Yeah, Blade. If somebody's like, he might as well be like, hey, listen, from now on, can you guys call me douchebag? It's the same thing. So yeah, I'm going to call him Blade. I'm never going to let him forget that he's Blade.
Y'all's fault. Like, for real. You guys got to stop. You guys got to stop letting everybody just show up and tell you, hey, I'm a thing. By the way, I'm a thing. My name's Blade, and I'm actually a big deal. And then you fucking retards just suck his dick.
What about Karmic? Karmic did the same shit. What about Cardiff Electric? Same shit. The floating orange named OJ. Obnoxious John. That ain't his real name. I don't see any reason to clamp down on this guy just because he chose the world's douchiest name. In fact, I say... Forever Blade.
Like, you guys are pretty dumb. Stop doing that. There's never Blade. Nobody ever looked at this fat fuck and went, you know what? I'm going to start calling you Blade.
Exactly. It's like calling a bald guy Curly.
Nobody has ever looked at this man and said, you know what would be a good nickname? Blade.
You know what would be a better nickname? Call him the one-winged dove, sings a song just like she's singing it.
You know, because you're such a badass. Nobody, not one person. This dickhead started calling himself that. And a bunch of you went, oh, okay, Blade.
Yeah.
I think we're back. Yes. All right. Yeah, so look.
Diablo Sandwich says a lot of despicable shit has happened in the Dabbleverse. This piece of shit stealing $2K at minimum and stealing precious time from a dying man actually offends me. Agreed. When we originally covered this, my biggest source of disgust about this was the fact that he robbed this man. Not just of money. But what really bothered me was the time and the opportunities he robbed him of. Because not only did he rob him of this original Pulper Fest idea and fucked that up, then it got pushed back a bunch of months and now he's too sick to go. Not only did he not get the thing he wanted, but he rented he got hotel suites for that weekend and wasted a lot of money and time and energy preparing for that weekend. The weekend that never came. So it also fucked him of an opportunity.
I never really confirmed 100% the first time, obviously, because I ended up not going. The whole thing was really kind of fishy. I've never even known this guy either. Jeff P here. 6908, my favorite Jeff P. I know someone that changed their name to Bloodfang. Fuck. Now that would be great. We should start calling him Bloodfang. Passed HB2 1 IU. Yes. Mersh is sore because he didn't get invited to Vegas. He would have been there if asked. Likely. But I mean, people, he's leveling most of his complaints against Blade here. And I'm fine with that. I mean, the only reason that I think that Blade is deserving of some scorn here is because he could have gotten the event together the first time. And he had months to do it. And the first time would have been great, And that was back in October. Could have worked. I mean, I would have come if there was anything, any communication, if it was planned, and if it was as advertised. But I was like, something about this feels off. There's literally nothing going on, And it obviously nobody else was coming, and these people, I was led to believe that they were all confirmed and everything. So. But he could have planned something the second time too, So I mean, I don't know what this Blade. I don't know what he was. What did he do at all? And it's weird. He's never even been to Vegas before, and he was supposed to He starts calling fucking ballrooms and shit. It's like, this is insane. Dude, the whole thing could have been done on a shoestring, really. Compared to that, none of this had to occur. Hell, Pulper didn't even need this guy to do anything. He could have contacted these people personally, including me if he wanted. And if it was just all done that way, and here's what we're going to do, and here's where we're going to do it, I think everybody would have found a way to get there. But he put a guy in charge of it who didn't do shit and kind of not speed bump the whole thing, more just fucking made it not happen.
For him to have gone and done something else. So yeah, that is Diablo Sandwich. Probably the biggest, the most offensive part to me. It's robbing somebody of their last few months of joy and getting to go do what they want to do. I'm not saying everyone owed Pulper a weekend in Vegas. The world doesn't owe anybody shit. I'm not saying that everybody should have went for free and hung out with Pulper because they owed it to him. I'm not saying all that, but I am saying that, yeah, the fucking guy was dying and nobody should have lined up to nobody should have immediately lined up and said, yeah, money first, money up front. I need a deposit.
No, I don't believe anybody. Maybe Blade.
He goes, he spent 2 days in Vegas with Dave Sarah. No one, let alone a dying man, deserves that.
Look, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty business decisions. Again, look, you could say what you want. It is what.
He doesn't want to get into the nitty gritty business decisions. Nothing about this was business, John. You ripped off a dying guy of money, time, and energy.
I assure you that Karl wrote it off as a business expense. I mean, so maybe not business to, for Blade, but definitely there's no way that it was not a business expense for Karl to write off. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
All of which are probably very precious to him right now. This wasn't a business. This isn't the nitty gritty business side. You basically robbed the dying man. Yeah, Weech. Money, please.
It is, man, at this point.
Let's just, Mersh, I wish, would not be trying to, get it around that, anybody else was going, oh, my money, please, my rate, all that shit, But yeah, unfortunately, man, not in a position to just, to fly out there and get everything and do that. You know what I mean? I don't have that kind of. That's just not happening for me.
And I'm here, and ultimately, I mean, again, it is what it is. It is what it is. So I can't keep dwelling on what should have been.
I can't keep dwelling on all the shitty things I do. I mean, why do we have to? Why should I have to sit around? When I think about the shitty things I do to people, it makes me upset. And I don't want to think about that shit. So let's just not dwell on the shitty things I do. By the way, numero uno Josh Denny fan, as everyone's on their high horse, he's super annoyed that anybody's covering this. Hey, numero uno, you literally are the biggest Mike David dick suck that's ever existed on the internet. Who is the king of kvetching over minor situations and moral fagging and blowing things out of proportion? Who literally is the king of that? Your guy. Your guy invented the let's make a fucking mountain out of a molehill and milk it for 8 fucking hours. He invented the move.
Yeah. So these comics take money, go to Vegas, and don't even see him. I think that Red Bar's had some funny stuff. I do think also that saying that Blade is Diet Red Bar does Red Bar a huge disservice.
Could have been what hadn't been, so take it for what it is. If it's not what you expect, then so be it, man. So be it.
That guy right there, Blade, was just cut out to be some kind of middle management or I don't know, some corporate fucking, well, that's what we got. So sorry, you don't like it. I know, I get it. It sounds like, it's just that kind of fucking that language, that dismissive kind of thing, as far as he really doesn't want any criticism here, but he could have planned if this was to be anything out there, and maybe it wasn't. Whatever, then he could have planned something, but he could have gotten it done back in October, too. Never talked to him once back then.